The history of the Sith in Star Wars is long, it's complex, and it's filled to the brim with conflict. They are only one of the central elements of Star Wars alongside the Jedi. Now, I have done a video about the history of the Jedi as well, so if you're interested, do go check that out. The Sith embody the power and corruption of the dark side of the Force, seeking power, dominance, and control over the galaxy. Their history stretches back thousands of years, often intertwined with the Jedi and the Republic, and it shaped many of the political and mystical landscapes of the Star Wars universe. So let's go through the history of the Sith, starting with the origins, which is pre-Republic era. So the ancient Sith species were not actually Force users, but a species of red-skinned, aggressive being who lived on the planet Korriban. They were native to this world where they would practice dark rituals and revered their ancient god. Over time, they would come into contact with the Jedi and other Force-sensitive groups, but it was a Sith species that would become the foundation for the Sith Order. So the first real Sith Lord, as we know, is Ajunta Pal, a Jedi Knight who, along with some of his followers, turned to the dark side. After being cast out of the Jedi Order for his increased desire for power and his descent to the dark side, Pal and his followers were exited to Korriban, where they eventually came to rule over the Sith species. Pal became the first true Sith Lord after mastering the dark side of the Force and adopting the name Sith. Over time, the exiled Jedi interbred with those native Sith species, merging traditions and creating the Sith Order as we know it. So moving on to the Sith War, so thousands of years before even the prequel trilogy, the Sith began to establish an empire. The empire was founded by Sith Lords who used their mastery of the dark side to conquer and control the galaxy. The Sith waged wars against the Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic in a series of battles known as the Sith Wars. These wars were marked by intense battles between the Jedi and the Sith, each seeking to either eliminate the other or gain control of the galaxy. The Sith Empire, led by Naga Sadow, eventually collided with the Galactic Republic, culminating the Great Hyperspace War, which was around 5000 BBY. The Sith were defeated, but they left behind a legacy that would continue to haunt the galaxy. So after suffering numerous defeats and near extinction, the Sith faced a crucial turning point with the arrival of Darth Bane. He was a powerful Sith Lord who recognised the flaw in the Sith's large-scale chaotic approach. He believed that the Sith's internal infighting and reckless ambition was going to be their undoing. Bane enacted the Rule of Two, which stated there would only ever be two Sith at a time, the Master and the Apprentice. This would allow the Sith to work in secret, avoid the infighting as well that actually led to their downfall. Now, the Rule of Two did keep the Sith alive for nearly 1,000 years in the shadows. The Sith would grow in power, but only through the careful, secretive passing of knowledge from one master to the next. The philosophy of secrecy and the survival of the fittest was central to the Sith's strategy, with the apprentice often betraying the master to take their place. Now, for a long time, the Sith were believed to be extinct by the Jedi Order and the Republic, but they continued to work in the shadows. The Sith's goal was often to undermine the Republic and its Jedi protectors, setting traps for them and plotting to destroy them when the time was right. The Sith's long game came to fruition in the events of the prequel trilogy, with the rise of Darth Sidious, also known as Emperor Palpatine. Sidious was a Sith Lord who had secretly manipulated the galactic politics for years. He orchestrated the Clone Wars and manipulated Anakin Skywalker, who obviously became Darth Vader later on. Obviously manipulated Anakin to turn against the Jedi, leading to their near extinction. In the Clone Wars, Sidious was working in the guise of Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic, secretly training his apprentice Darth Maul and later Count Dooku, who eventually became Darth Tyrannus. Through them, he instigated the Clone Wars, a galactic conflict that drew in the Republic, Separatists and countless planets and systems. In a climatic moment, Sidious ordered Order 66, which led to the mass extinction of the Jedi, marking the near-complete fall of the Jedi Order and the rise of the Galactic Empire. The remaining Jedi, including Obi-Wan and Yoda, went into hiding, and Palpatine, now Emperor, had actually gained what every Sith had ever wanted: galactic control. So Anakin Skywalker, who we then later know as Darth Vader, played a pivotal role in the rise of the Sith. His fall to the dark side was part of Palpatine's plan, and he sought to replace the Jedi with Sith agents who would ensure the Empire's dominance. However, Anakin's redemption arc was seen in Return of the Jedi, when he brings a significant change to the Sith, when he actually does end up destroying Palpatine, and he then brings balance to the Force, which was obviously pre-told in the prequels, but probably not done the way they thought it was going to be done. Now, after they thought that Palpatine was destroyed, he actually returned in The Rise of Skywalker. Through dark rituals and the creation of a Sith cult, he sought to resurrect the Sith and reclaim his power. His final confrontation with Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, ends with the apparent destruction of the Sith in their final, most corrupted form. Now, I say apparent because it always seems that Palpatine, Sidious, whatever you want to call him, always seems to come back one way or another. So the core beliefs are fundamentally different to those of the Jedis. So the Sith believe that the dark side of the Force grants them power, and that emotions such as hatred, fear, and anger are actually sources of strength. They believe that the survival of the fittest and the natural order of power, where the strong rule and the weak serve, is the way to go. Whereas the Jedi, they stand for everything opposite. So they stand for peace and selflessness and restraint. They obviously don't want you having personal relationships that gets in the way, whereas a Sith sees passion as necessary to achieving greatness. So the history of the Sith is a tale of ambition, deception, and the relentless pursuit of power. Their philosophy embraces passion and dominance over selflessness and peace, which leads them into constant conflict with the Jedi and the Republic, whether it's through large-scale wars, secretive political manoeuvring, or personal vendettas. And this is the way that the Sith have shaped the galaxy for millennia, always seeking to destroy the Jedi and rule the galaxy. Even after their apparent defeat, their legacy continues to influence events in the galaxy, as seen in the final confrontations of the sequel trilogy. And that's it, guys. That is, should I say, the history of the Sith. So I guess there's nothing on there we really didn't know, apart from maybe the beginning of how it came about. But, you know, the Order of Two, that's obviously something that is very apparent throughout the series. And obviously just how they are, the darkness to the light, the Sith to the Jedi. We obviously already knew that as well. So hopefully none of that was too much of a surprise for you, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. My apologies if I do look down quite a lot. There's so much information to give, I just wanted to make sure I got it all right for you. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you like these sort of deep dives as a general, sort of overarching, or if you prefer me to look at just certain characters, because again, I can do that, I have done that as well. Make sure you subscribe, we've got some really fun stuff coming out this year, which I'm excited about. Until next time, you take care.